Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to my brand new series, Celebrity Natal Charts, where so far we have been analyzing only people with Sun in Pisces and their different respective rising signs. And this, I am very happy to say, as far as like this first 12 bits go, for this series is the final installation into this series, looking at the natal chart of James Hong, the very, very celebrated Chinese Pacific, what's this says? Asian Pacific American artist and actor and performer, who has a rising Pisces. So we're going to be looking at his chart. If you don't know who he is James Hong. That's his name. Don't wear it out. He's born February 22nd, 1929. American actor, voice actor, and director, and former president of the Association of Asian Pacific American Artists, AAPAA, a profile acting veteran. Hong's career spans over more than 50 years and includes more than 350 roles in film, television, and video games. So I don't know, like, obviously I love Pisces, and obviously celebrities take, a lot of space up in our heart and minds. Um, and the only other person that I could find that had a Pisces rising Pisces that was also a celebrity was this other guy, Amir Khan, who I don't know him very well, but he seems to be a very celebrated Indian uh, director and person. So I was going to use him because I thought that having working doing this reading on someone who I know absolutely nothing about would be like the most honest reading. But then for the sake of it being interesting, not only for you, the listener, but keeping it interesting for me as well, I like sort of need to know them a little bit because I feel like they're here with me when I'm doing the reading on them. So this guy, James Hong, I know him from I think it's like Balls of Fury, the ping pong movie, but he's literally been in every Kung Fu Panda, which, if you don't know, there are a lot of Kung Fu Pandas. But also in like Jackie Chan Adventure and some other things I looked up on IMDb. So he's very different than the other people in the series who I was like, I don't know your name. I don't need to know your name. Let's do this reading. So I did just a wee bit of research on him before we started this video. Just because I needed it to be someone to keep me motivated to keep going. But yes, he is a Pisces rising Pisces, which should be a very interesting chart to look at. Also because, like, if you're getting a natal, if you're talking to somebody, Heineken Henry astrology, and he's saying to you that, you're so ignorant because all you know about is your sun sign. Like, there's a whole world of nuanced astrology that you're not even looking into because you don't know your sun, moon, or rising, and you have to pay me $6,000 to analyze that for you. And then it's like, oh, well, I guess I do know a little something about astrology because my sun sign and my rising sign are the same sign. Or, you could even have a sun, moon, rising, Mercury, Mars, and Venus all in one sign. So those things happen, and we're here to look at when stuff like that happens. So as Flavor Flav, I guess, would be sort of the opposite of this, where it's like the unknown rising sign. This is like the very well-known rising sign as he shares it with his sun sign. Okay, so now that we've had a 45-minute intro, let's talk about what it means to have Pisces in the first house or Pisces ascendant. To me, that's somebody who looks sad, but it's also like they build their self-esteem from how sad they can be. So I know that in Korea, funeral wailing is like not necessarily a sport, but it's something that people compete over. So it's like, oh, this person passed away. Okay, well, I cried for 3 days. I shaved my head and, went wailing in the street for 6 months and, just kind of trying to outdo each other in sadness. So Pisces rising definitely gives me that energy. It's like, okay, well, oh my God, I forgot to get, some apple juice from the grocery store. Oh, well, my apple juice that I got from the grocery store, the lid fell off of it and spilled everywhere. I'm more sad than you are. Oh, my apple juice got shot at. Like it's just like this elevating, like who could be the most sad competition. Um, and that's what Pisces. Well, and it's like where they get their self esteem from. So it's also like sometimes if you have like an African American person and a Jewish person together, they'll be like, oh well, slavery was like this, oh the Holocaust was like that, and it becomes sort of like a competition, like who suffered more, who could suffer more. So that's Pisces rising, and then in his second house of Aries, which I believe he also has Venus and Uranus. Venus, Aries, yep, and Uranus and Aries, yep. His Venus and Aries and Uranus in his second house, which means that like he might be like very angry about his money. Money might make like talking about money might bring him a lot of like discomfort, like anger and embarrassment. But he's really good at attracting it, and I think he has a lot of wealthy friends as well. But maybe he doesn't like to talk about money or wealthy things in order to like he's like a humble guy. Like he doesn't want to make other people feel uncomfortable based on how much wealth he either has or doesn't have. So if he's like around a bunch of his rich, wealthy friends, he doesn't talk about his financial struggles. If he's around his like struggling friends, he doesn't talk about how much abundance he's been experiencing. Um, and his greatest resource and priority towards his finances is like being connected to the government, being connected to his people. I wouldn't necessarily see Aries as like race, religion, or creed, but just for the simple fact that I know he's part of this like Asian American Actors Association. It's like being part, especially with Uranus being in his second house. It's like being in organizations that are connected to like his father's culture or father's side of the family, specifically with Aries, will make him a lot of money. So even if it was like the Mandarin Man, uh, you know Tube Sock Association, that would bring him a lot of money. I don't know. And then so his third house of Taurus. So it's funny to see these people, their charts and their risings, but then also specifically where these planets fall as well, and like what their struggles are. Because like not even if you didn't look at their chart, you could maybe even imagine that they would have these struggles, like with Justin Bieber and Adam Levine having Jupiter in the first house. It's like you'd see that those are two both people two those are both two people who seem like they'd be very concerned about their looks. But then you have somebody like Cindy Crawford who has Jupiter, I think it was like in Scorpio or something. And they're more concerned. She's a model, so you think like all she cares about is her looks, and it's like no, she actually cares more about her spirit and spirituality. And then you have Justin Bieber and Adam Levine being a little bit more vain and thinking about like how their hair looks or how their appearance looks with their Jupiter positioning. And Mr. Hong here, he is more so concerned like Chiron. So second house, Taurus, priority. Chiron, I see that it is like something that we are like very concerned about. Jupiter, I see it as like something that we're very lucky in, right? So he maybe like a lot of people on this world and this planet perhaps grew up very like impoverished or aware of extreme poverty. And even if you're like you were like the son of a king or a baron or something, but you're born in 1929 or 1930. It's like I always think about like how regal could a king really be in the 14th century? It's not like they have electricity. Like the only electricity they have are like their serfs and servants, and it's got to look at some sad old woman, being your television every night. It's like you're not really living in abundance either because it's the past. Whereas in modern day, common people take cabs, common people go on vacation. There's just more luxury in general. So it's like he's very aware of extreme poverty. Probably stemming from his childhood, probably from history textbooks. It doesn't necessarily have to be like eyewitness accounts, but he's just like, oh, is aware of it. And it's something that he's been able to pull a lot of people out of, probably just like either by physically giving people money or pulling them out of an impoverished mindset. But it's something he struggles with himself, although he's been very lucky and fortunate with money in his past, present, and future. But this is something that, because I know I go into meditation and I have my little rants and things on my mind. And earlier today, I was thinking about like owning a pool, like what it takes to own a pool, not just the several $1,000s it takes to install and to buy and whatever, but it also takes like um, the mental capacity to have what is basically like several thousand gallons of water just ticking away all day and night. So it's like you don't only need to be able to afford the pool, you also need to have the mental clarity, financial power, and mindset to not turn your pool into like a dishwasher, car wash, slash skateboard pit that you rent out to the neighbors. Like just, you can keep the pool. So that might be something that he does. Like, he might like buy a car and then think about who he can rent it to, or to buy a home and think about who he can rent it to, or something like that, just to like always keep finances growing, which isn't really a good or a bad thing. It just sort of is who he is. And then I have a lot to say about this guy. Also, with this third house in Taurus, this also says to me that he might have grown up like in a rural area, like on a farm or something, a lot or around a lot of cows. And I don't have a third house in Taurus, but I didn't really grow up near cows and farms and things like that. But farms and cows are maybe like an hour, 30 minutes away from me. So all that stuff is like pretty relative, but like this is like what do you call it? Like bucolic views. There's something that he grew up with, a lot of fields and bucolic views and um like like a Windows 95 screensaver. So even if he grew up in like the grittiest, most dirtiest corner of Hong Kong where there wasn't a blade of grass at all, uh maybe spend a lot of time in the 80s and 90s looking at those bucolic views on computer screensavers or in magazines or something like that. That environment brings him the most peace if that was not necessarily his environment. So one, two, three, fourth house in Gemini. So yeah, so Taurus environment, Gemini home. Talks about a lot of people in the home, friends, family, classmates, people around the same age as him. Probably came from a two-parent household, at least for a while. And then we also have, I want to say Mars in Gemini. Yes, Mars in Gemini. So he's very much a person that likes to take action. He has a lot of get up and go. Probably did a lot of well, I guess he's like, is a kung fu actor, probably has some like actual kung fu experience or martial art experience, whatever you want to call it. And, but see, this is the thing too, because this is in his fourth house, it's almost like this athletic upbringing that he had from his past probably holds him back a little bit and stops him from evolving and maturing. So I guess like maybe as an actor, he might have spent time pigeonholed as like, I only belong in kung fu flicks. I mean, he's been in 7 Kung Fu Panda movies, but the movie I know him from is, and we'll get to this when we get to his 10th house, is like balls of like a comedy movie that had some of the most major comedians of the time in it. I don't think so, actually. I think I'm actually confusing that movie with the Dodgeball movie. But I don't know. So like, just staying too close to home, staying close to his fourth house and friends and family are things that stopped will stop his evolution throughout his life and his career. And then the biggest obstacle for him is his fifth house in Cancer, where we also have Pluto. So this could be like his mother. He's fairly older in age, so I'm going to maybe assume that maybe his parents have passed at this point at least. And perhaps earlier in his life, it was just a big fear of his mother passing. Um, and that's a huge obstacle in his life, is like either his mother passing, having the fear of his mother passing, or the regret and the memory of that when that actually had happened. And the way that he is, should, could, would recover from that, from either, dealing with any type of grief to these Cancerian energies of people that were loving and nurturing to him like a mother, um, is through fame. We got Leo in the sixth house, also with the moon and Neptune. And if you've been listening to the series, I am only reading Neptune as like a television antenna, and especially in a position with Leo and the moon. So it's like, how does he overcome the pain of all this loss and stuff that he's experienced, especially like, you know, it's not even like as we get older. It's like as more time that we experience more happy things and more sad things. So how do you recover from a lifetime of sad things where you're also the type of person to like try to outdo other people in their sadness, is from being famous, from being on television. I the moon here in Leo talks to me about like soap operas, like more like dramatic, sad type of roles, and working on them every day. So this could be stuff like on TikTok. This could be stuff on Netflix. That is a show about sad famous people. My this natal chart series is sort of like a series on famous sad people because everybody's a Pisces. But a lot of the Pisces, especially like Rihanna and one other person, they were like very barely a Pisces, so they're not that sad at all. But yeah, so from being pretending to be fake and happy on television will help him overcome any heavy feelings that are dragging him back on his journey. And his seventh house is in Virgo. So I think the craziest thing about the Pisces, rising Pisces, is how compatible that actually makes them with Virgo, because it places Virgo in their seventh house. But Virgo in the seventh house doesn't always mean that you're going to get married to a Virgo. It could say that you have like a cousin, a best friend, a brother, sister, a family member that's a Virgo who you're really close with. I myself, as I've been like very tired sounding in these videos because I'm trying to um, dual market them as ASMR as well, Virgos offer Pisces a lot of energy. So I don't know if that's like, Pisces is the soup and Virgo is the bowl. But it's like Virgo is the battery to the wind up doll that is Pisces. And so if he is, feeling very low or weak on energy, then he should probably spend more time around people born under the sign of Virgo. They'll make him feel like revitalized, they'll make him feel attractive, all those things. Because what he ultimately wants, his like greatest desire in life, is Libra, which is to be on the right side of the law and to find love and marriage in a relationship. So you might be thinking to yourself, like, I have a rising Capricorn and I really want to be married and on the right side of the law and all that stuff too, which there are probably things in your chart that talk about that. But this is like a higher intensity. This could be like somebody who's born under a Jewish faith, and it's like they really want to get married, not just because of social pressure, but because of like spiritual, religious pressure as well. Um, this is somebody who like maybe needs to get married for like a green card or some type of legal something. That's the only thing I can really think of. I don't know what other laws you could be experiencing that would make you need to get married. Because it's under the eighth house of sex, death, and taxes. So it's like marriage or die, you know? Whereas some people are like, oh, I would like to get married, and if I didn't, I might feel embarrassed or sad about it, but like, it's not the end of me. Um, and I don't think it's the end of him either. It's just maybe like the level of intensity that is being shown to me from the Pisces rising, specifically the other planets and stuff going on in his chart. And in his ninth house of Scorpio, he might be somewhat of a spiritual medium and might have like learned a lot from ghosts or learned a lot from the dead. Like just literally saying that out loud, ninth house in Scorpio, it reminded me of that Red Man and Method Man movie. Method Man also honorable mention Pisces. How High, where they go to Harvard because they use marijuana to channel the spirit of their very intelligent friend, and he like cheats and helps them like with all the tests and everything. And I know that like just saying the plot of that movie sounds so dumb and so ridiculous, but there's so I don't know if it was a fad or a trend, but there's like this Lucy LaBelle movie where she's basically a psychic, especially around this time that he was born, like in the 1930s, 1950s. Like there was a lot of movies where there's like a huge spiritual part of the movie. When it comes to kung fu flicks and Kung Fu Panda, like of course they're probably after some type of ancient amulet or talisman or something like that, especially Jackie Chan. But this is more so like there's a it's called Cinderella. I can't think of the actor's name right now. Jerry Lewis movie called Cinderella. And the basically the plot line of the movie, like imagine, you're watching the trailer, it's like in a world where, your father has passed away and your evil stepbrothers are trying to keep you from your inheritance. Our hero, Jerry Lewis, has to go to sleep long enough to have a dream of his departed father to figure out, where his inheritance is. Like basically use the power of mediumship to figure out his finances. And I was like, wow, that's like the key plot line of this movie. That's very interesting. And I was like, I don't know how it was received by the public, but like that's what it was. And maybe that's something that he's into. Maybe that's something that he'll help the industry gravitate towards. It's like literally movie magic, just in documentation and recording of magical events that have happened in different people's lives. Okay. Or maybe he learned a lot about spirituality from movies, from film noir and movies like that of that nature. But his 10th house is midheaven, Saturn. All those things are in Sagittarius, which is a very uncomfortable position for Sagittarius, because although Sagittarius is like very competitive, they're not really into limitations. It's almost like running a race with a ton of bricks on your back. Um, and his career has experienced a lot of limitations, probably from language with Sagittarius here. So it's like, being from another country or being foreign has caused a lot of limitations for him. But it has been, it was, it will be the way that he evolved. So I guess like if he were to have stayed wherever he was born, which I'm assuming is in China at somewhere. It's not telling me, and I feel like if he were to stay there with his mother, he wouldn't have evolved into the person that he is today. And because he was more Sagittarian and competitive and not afraid to be a foreigner, he was able to experience more success in his career, or that's what is the driving force of his success in his career, is being able to be different and uncomfortable and around different types of people, and to not, and to, even though he might have like prejudices or bigoted feelings, to kind of like extend his hand across the aisle to different races and whatever different people that may not see eye to eye as him. The thing is too, like a lot of people, and maybe who knows, like a lot of people have a lot of preconceived notions about like what black people are, what Jewish people are, what white people are. Because even as an African American, you just might be like, okay, some people are brown, some people are lighter brown, like whatever. Whereas you could be talking to a Mormon who literally is like, oh, black people weren't valiant in the fight against good and evil, like in the times of old. And you're just like, oh wow, this person has a whole nother narrative around race and religion than I do, and a whole different other pot of feelings. So he himself, like whatever stereotypes or bigotries or prejudices that he had in his life, um, and overcoming them is what moved his piece forward on this Monopoly board. So, you know, it would be so great to be born as a person with zero prejudices and no bigotry. But then how do you learn, and how do you grow? Where's the arc of your story? And I don't know. I'm sure if I checked his IMDb, because of how long he's been an actor, it honestly reminds me of All in the Family, which I'm sure he was on there. Like I bet somebody $5 he was on there. And if I'm right, send me $5. If I'm wrong, let's just move forward. you know. But definitely seems like he would have been on like All in the Family or Good Times or one of those shows. So I think maybe he learned a lot from that. To dial it back to his 9,000 Scorpio, learned a lot from the dead, learned a lot from TV and movies. And I know a lot of people who immigrate to the United States, and they learn a lot of their language skills from watching television. Things like sitcoms, because it's situational. You know what I mean? Like, even my textbooks in language textbooks in high school were situational. Like, words that you might hear us say at the bank, words you might hear and say, um, at the post office, whatever. But as, a struggling actor, as an artist, you may not find yourself at the bank or at the post office so much. So, what other situations could you learn a language? It's from, like, guess who's coming to dinner, like dating and Sex in the City and things that you actually find yourself a part of. Okay, so then he has an 11th house in Capricorn, so that means he's really good. Like, he gets by with a little help from his friends. His friends have really helped him in business. He has a lot of very wealthy, money minded friends, which is really good. So I definitely feel like, mainly because it's the only thing that I've read about him, but I definitely feel like this association that he's a part of speaks a lot about the financial security around his career, because his career does seem sort of like, especially with Kung Fu Panda, it's like, I'm the Asian person in this movie to make this super racist Asian movie not racist because I'm here sort of energy, which is very Capricorn. Like, I always feel like people say like Libras are fake and superficial, but and so is Capricorn. But no one ever complains about Capricorn being fake or superficial, because it's for the sake of the almighty daughter, from the almighty daughter, and for the almighty dollar. Um, so whereas like Libra might be like fake and superficial for the sake of being fake and superficial, Capricorn is fake and superficial for the sake of like, please give us some money. Which is something that I was trying to talk about in the Nina Simone video, where it's like to be black, and she's already black, but it's like to be black enough to be good for the culture and for the people, to be white enough that they let her on television to talk about being black, and to carry that forward. And I typically see, even though I think of Pisces as looking like Bubbles from yeah, the Powerpuff Girls, like they're blondes. Like all Pisces are sort of like there's something blonde about them. You know what I mean? And whether if that's like, I don't think like the dumb blonde stereotype means like you're an idiot. It just kind of means like you're funny, like you say cute, funny things, like Paris Hilton's mother being like, "Oh, who's hunky Dory? Like, who's this person? Like, who's Dory? Is he hot? Like, he's hunky. Who is he? I need to know him." Like, they say these kind of like funny, cute things. Like, I had a friend, not a Pisces, but she was born in a different country, and she came to the United States, and she was taking an astronomy class, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I'm enrolled in this astronomy class, and they don't talk about horoscopes or anything." And it's like part of me felt like she knew that, like she knew that astrology and astronomy were different. Maybe there's some like wishful thinking there of crossover. But that's what I think of when I think of like the dumb blonde trope. It's like they say things that are kind of stupid, but it's like cute and funny, and not that the person is like a complete idiot or something. You know what I mean? So I think that all Pisces have that. I think he definitely has like this sort of like cuteness about him. Um, but I also see like Asian diaspora. So as I see like Pisces, so I said Pisces are blondes, but I also see like Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio representing like African diaspora, which African peoples, African American, African people, African diaspora, African Americans can have blonde hair, can have natural blonde hair, whatever. But that's sort of just like the stereotypes I have. So it's like Pisces is like blonde Becky who doesn't know what the difference between astrology and astronomy is, but then also like Tanisha and Tanita who like use their psychic abilities to talk to each other. Uh, you know, all the other water sign, they use the pain and the struggle of the misery of their ancestors to ignite their psychic abilities and talk to each other. I also see that being a very water sign. Earth signs, especially like Capricorn, Taurus, I see as like being like very like South American, very Italian, very North African, Middle Eastern, like people who squash grapes, you know what I mean, like with their bare feet and drink wine. But also, I see like Chinese diaspora being very Capricorn because it's like black hair, brown eyes, you know? So from this association of like Asian American actors, it's like a lot of people who look a lot like him are his friends and help him out financially because he looks like them and because, um, like for the culture. So that's really good for him. And sometimes I lose my train of thought. Sometimes I feel like the train is going to get to the station no matter what. But all those things are things that I feel like I needed to share because maybe he had a lot of ideas about race, especially being from 1929, that changed throughout his life. But also, so this is very interesting and very funny, and just like how life is in general. So his friends bring him a lot of money. His friends, his cousins, his countrymen, people the same color as him, people the same hair color as him. They all bring him a lot of money, a lot of good fortune, and a lot of blessings. But he has a 12th house in Aquarius. So they also make him like unbelievably miserable. And also with Mercury in Aquarius, he probably tells them that they make him unbelievably miserable. So his Taurus cousins that look like him, that bring him a lot of good luck and fortune, that he's been able to heal in ways that he hasn't been able to heal himself. Like maybe he's been able to help people with their accents and how to lose their accent and how to work on their accent or change their accents. It's like, maybe throughout the different dialects of Chinese and, speaking different languages like English and German and French and whatever that is. But maybe that's still something that he struggles with or he's not as good at it as he thinks. Like he could be going around correcting people on their accents while still having like a very strong one himself. Uh, and especially with the connection to his family, it's like he really tries to not talk about his mother because like I guess he finds it like very upsetting. It's like an obstacle. But then also I feel like his life partner or life partners probably resemble his mother a lot, and so it's like running away from a ghost that's in the mirror. Maybe he looks a lot like his mother. Um, and then his coworkers and classmates, he's been able to. So I guess like that is sort of the thing too. So it's like if you went to school with James Hong, whether if that was elementary school, middle school, college, there's a bunch of people out there every day that are like, well, I went to school with James Hong and I worked on this movie with James Hong and because he's been around for since I guess maybe not doing movies since the 1930s, but you never know. He could have been a child actor for all we know. We don't know anything about anybody on this channel. So there's just a lot of people every day. I mean, even probably James, what's his name, Jack Black is probably like, oh, I made it. I did 7 kung fu flicks with James Hong. I'm basically Jackie Chan. I love. He's a Virgo. He's a Virgo. His seventh house. I love Jack Black. He's like chaotic evil where it's like I feel like he would be like working for the devil and not know it. Be like, oh, I had no idea this big red guy I've been working for was the devil this entire time. I didn't want to be rude. I just thought he had a weird haircut, but he had horns on his head. Um, so a lot of people have a lot of reverence for him, I guess is the word. and he has a lot of reverence for other people. And then, like I said, like these Capricorns are like backing him and they're giving him money and all that type of stuff, but they make him miserable. Like maybe it's like the debt because of like the weight of a gift is too strong for him. So, some Gemini or Virgo, some mercurial person might give him like some, I don't know, like some drugs or like a really nice pair of shoes or a Rolex watch, and he feels all this like debt, like what can I give you, like you've given me this great gift, or a role in a movie or something like that, something that he could really never pay back to anyone. And they're like, don't worry about it. Like, I got Rolex. I'm throwing out Rolexes like it's, popcorn at a parade or, confetti or something. Like, it's not a big deal. And that sort of energy, like, makes him miserable because, like, of whatever he went through when he was growing up, um, whatever he went through throughout his life. Like, you know what I mean? Like, especially coming from, I keep saying, like, especially, like, coming from the 1930s because my grandfather used to tell me, he told me he used to tell me all this stuff about like, how black people were being subjugated in the South through the Great Depression and through the different world wars and like the different foods that he had access to and didn't have access to. And I think I forget the actual years and stuff, but I believe I remember the story he was telling me was that like before World War II, like all, especially in the Virginia and the Carolinas, he was like, all we would eat is seafood. All we had was seafood. We didn't have anything else. They wouldn't let us eat anything else. We didn't get pork and beef and chicken, and that was for everybody else. And we had to eat like oysters and clams and shrimp and lobster because it's like, the roaches of the sea. And then he was like, then the war was over. And then he was like, you would never, like, he was like, before the war, there'd be a guy walking down the streets trying to sell everybody oysters for a penny and nobody wanted them. And then after the war, no oysters for anybody. Only the rich and wealthy could have them. So with this 12th house in Aquarius, it could be like, his grandson telling him, oh, I hate caviar. It's so nasty. Just throw it away, Where, it's like, or caviar or food in general or anything. And then he's like, do you know, what I went through or what other people go, especially with Aquarius in the 12th house. It's like, do you know what I went through? Do you know what other people go through? You eat that caviar or McDonald's or whatever it is. Like, don't be a brat. If anything, like if there was a clickbait title to this reading, it's like James Hong, Rising Pisces natal chart, don't be a brat. Like honestly, like right over his chart, I want to write like don't be like James Hong message to the world, don't be a brat. Because I think he is a bratty person, but he like doesn't do that. He's not a mama's boy. He's not a brat, and it's done a lot for him. And I think it would be really nice to look up. I mean, maybe it's racist or something, but I think it would be really nice to look up Mr. Hong's, especially this being supposedly the last part of this series, where I just decided to like I was looking up the charts on my phone and then recording it on my computer because I thought that I don't know, it would mess up. Like I just really didn't want to do anything to mess up the recording. So like the typing of whatever on the keyboard, or for some reason the Google search that I did would somehow end up on the recording, which honestly is something they should pay extra for. So I don't even know why they would do something like that. But it caused a lot of limitations for me in recording these videos because I can literally record these videos while I'm laying in bed, but I felt like I needed a bunch of extra toys and gadgets that I didn't need. And maybe that's something that's going on in James's life too. Who knows? Or your life listening to this. But it's been a lot easier to just record this on my computer, to look at the chart on my computer, and instead of being like, I don't know when Mercury retrograde is, just like quickly Googling in the middle of the video, when is Mercury retrograde? Okay, so Mr. Hong is born under the sign of the Earth Snake. So the people who we're committing to memory, I think that William Drayton Jr., Flavor Flav. He is a Earth pig. And then Mr. Hong is an Earth snake. Snake, I don't know too much about snake, honestly. Like, pig I know is associated with Scorpio. Snake, snake I think it's like a pretty. Let's see what this website has to say about it. Oh wait, this says more people with This says big three: Sun in Pisces, Moon in Leo, Ascendant in Pisces. Okay, so I think this is other people. Oh wait, does it say he's a rising? No, okay, so it's like this day is rising as Leo. He's a Moon in Leo, rising Pisces, Sun in Pisces. But I also note this other guy here, Amir Khan, also has a rising, is a Pisces rising Pisces. And then who are these other people? Lawrence Welk. I like him. Or he's like another person that I know to be like a Pisces. And he's like such a Pisces too because like his show used to come on at like, well, for me anyway, used to come on at like 4 o'clock in the morning and play polka, which is like so unoffensive and unhurtful. And then also I was saying earlier that I always think that all Pisces in their soul sort of look like bubbles from Powerpuff Girls, and he would have like those bubbles rolling around his television show. So he's a water rabbit. But let's look up some stuff about the Earth snake. Let's learn. Let's not be fucking ignorant forever. Snake, like I mean, I have so much to say about rat. I have so much to say about monkey. I have a lot to say about dragon. But I literally know nothing. I mean, snake, I think is like yeah, they're sneaky, sneaky snakes. Earth snake. Like monkeys, I know live very easy lives. Um, like ridiculously easy, annoyingly easy lives in comparison to other people. I know that the ox works really hard in the benefit of everybody else. And I know that rats don't work hard, but they're very good at winning and they're very lucky and fortunate. So that's the one thing that I know. Okay. So earth snakes are known for being helpful and loyal. So they're not sneaky snakes. They're like loyal snakes. Um, Earth snakes are very disciplined and concerned with the opinions of others. Earth snakes are said to be entertaining and great company. Well, throughout his chart, I kept saying there's out of the 12 readings that I've done on these 12 different people, I think there's been like 4 or 5 people where like friends and friendship has been like a huge thing of contention for them. And I know like with Pisces, that's a big thing because it's like, I feel like Aquarius is the soul's last attempt to meet less evolved signs halfway, where it's like, okay, like I'm an Aquarius, I believe in love and friendship and compassion for my fellow man. But I'll still go down to the bar and I'll drink with Taurus and I'll be racist with Aries. And I'll be like duplicitous with Gemini. Like I'll still play the game. Whereas like Pisces, I feel like with their superpower being the ability to withdraw from confrontation, where it's like Aries may not, like literally Aries might be 5'2", about to fight a 7 foot dragon demon, and they know like hell they're like, I cannot beat this person, I need to run away and hide. But because of the L's that I've taken in my life previously, I literally do not have the ability to withdraw from this fight that I need to seriously withdraw from. Whereas like Pisces is like, run, like scatter, like it's like, okay, I'm David, I'm going against Goliath, I don't have a slingshot, I'm gonna run away. Like I'm gonna run away, I'm gonna withdraw and run into a hole, because eventually Goliath, he's so big, he's gonna trip over his own feet and fall. David is gonna hit him with a slingshot. He's gonna bump his head on the sun. Like something's gonna happen to this guy. He's too big. So that's how I go about it. Or what I think about it. And okay, so snakes. Audrey Hepburn is a snake. Chairman Mao is a snake. They're very compatible with rooster, ox, and dragon. They don't get along with the tiger, sheep, or the pig. I brought up pig in this video. We talked about pig. Rooster. I know rooster is very comparable to Virgo. And he has Virgo in his seventh house, so he's probably like very extra compatible with rooster. I know that ox is comparable to Capricorn, so Capricorns or oxes in his life probably bring him a lot of money and a lot of friendship. Dragons, I believe, are comparable to Aries, and they live very difficult lives. So, as a person with this rising Pisces who is in a constant competition of like, oh, how hard has your life been? Well, my life's been this hard. A dragon could be very compatible to that energy because you guys could sit around and commiserate about whose life has been more difficult. Um, so it says good career choice for the snake would be a politician, a leader, or whatever that might be. If you're playing the game, follow the leader. I guess like snake is a good leader. Politician, lawyer, fashion designer, scientist, jeweler, educator, writer, journalist, astrologer, sociologist. I thought it said Scientologist. Archaeologist, philosopher, and caterer. So for him in this little snake thing that I'm reading versus his chart, I could definitely see him being like a political leader because I kept focusing on that association that he was a part of because it's also the one thing that I know about him, the association, and that he was in all of the Kung Fu Pandas. Writer, educator. I'm sure a lot of writing and fashion design goes along with being an actor. Um, Especially being an actor in kung fu flicks or Chinese film where it's like, he might be wearing something that's intended for a woman or something, that is not in proper feng shui or correct. And it bodes well not only for the people ringing the bells of cultural appropriation, perhaps in the Kung Fu Panda movies, because I do so Kung Fu Panda is actually a big part of my life. I tried to make it not a big part of my life because I loved the Xbox Kung Fu Panda game, and I remember maybe a year ago at this point, or maybe 2 years ago at this point, I was watching Jack Black give this interview. If I start doing Virgo videos, he's the first person I'm gonna do. But Jack Black was giving this interview where he was doing press for one of the foreign releases for Kung Fu Panda, which I think it was maybe like the Vietnamese release or the Chinese release, some culture and location where he did not speak the language, and he was sort of like having this revelation where he's like, I don't understand why I was there though because I'm not in the movie. He's like, I'm not Poe. Like Poe, maybe for the fact that he's rotund is sort of based on Jack Black. Like I would say like Poe has like Jack Black arms and stomach, but like doesn't really look like him in the face. It's not the Grinch. You know what I mean? I need to do like 6 more videos. I need to do like a story time about this. Because it's not the Grinch with Jim Carrey, where it's like the Grinch with Jim Carrey, that's Jim Carrey. So even if it's like the French foreign release, um, where he's been dubbed over by some French guy, that is still a movie that is about Jim Carrey's face because Jim Carrey's face is in it. Same thing with the Cat in the Hat, Michael Myers movie. Not so much with the Lorax and Danny DeVito because the only thing that Lorax has is that he's short. Um, what are we talking about? so, so Jack Black was talking about, he's like, it doesn't really make sense for me to be here because this movie is about whoever the voice actor is for the panda character, and in the foreign releases, it's not him. So, which, if James Hong was cast to play Poe as, Kung Fu Panda or Jackie Chan or one of Jackie Chan's children or just anybody who speaks both Chinese and English or multiple languages in general, then all of those animated movies would be about whoever the voice actor main character is, and not just switching them out with whoever has the most silly voice. So that's something that might be something on his mind. That's been sort of, I guess, something that's been boiling around in my mind for a couple of years now because I don't really care about it, but that's something that has been brought up. I think actually another good thing to compare with these videos is like their actual birthdays because I think a lot of these people I've been looking at have been February Pisces. I know, I guess James is a February Pisces and Rihanna is a February Pisces, but I have not committed everyone else's birthday to memory nor their Chinese sign. So thank you so much for listening to me ramble and learn about Chinese astrology in this video. Thank you so much for liking, sharing, subscribing, and finding your favorite Sun Pisces, Rising Pisces best friend that you want to tag in this video because their lives have been so resonate and have been so similar with what I've been saying. Also, thank you so much for grabbing and tagging and forcing your favorite Earth Snake person to watch this video so that they can get a very bad 5-minute synopsis on what it means to be an Earth Snake. And thank you, and I love you so much and appreciate you so much for listening to these videos, and I will see you in my next one. Thank you. Bye.